All right, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, we're going to solve equations for a specific variable. That's the title of it. And in number one, it says solve the following equation for y. The equation we're looking at is this equation right here, and it's a multiple choice question. But before I look at the answers, I'm going to go ahead and solve this off to the side. So I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to start it again after I recopy the equation where I have a little bit more room. All right, film's rolling again. So I recopied the equation from here all the way over to here. And I'm going to highlight the variable y. Our goal is to get the y by itself. But notice the y is on both sides of the equation. So I need to get the y's on one side or the other. And notice the coefficient with the y on the left is g, and the coefficient on the right is a d. No big deal. They're also variables. They represent numbers. I am going to move the y's to the left side. And I'm going to do that by subtracting dy from both sides. So I'm going to move the y's to the left side. And now I'm going to get rid of all the numbers from the left side. So -1, I'm going to add a +1. So I do that to both sides. So the -1 plus 1 is 0. I now have the y's on the left side. This becomes 0, and -21 plus 1 is -20. I have two terms on the left side with y's in them, gy and dy. Now I can use the factoring method you learned in Algebra 1. I'm going to factor out a y from the left side. So if I take out the y, let me highlight again the y's, this y here and this y here. I'm going to factor them out, move them out in front of the parentheses. What do I still have left inside? I have a g, I have a plus sign, and I have the opposite of d. Now remember, adding the opposite of d is the same as g minus d. G plus the opposite of d is the same as g minus d. And on the right side, I still have -20. What that allows me to do is to get the y by itself, I have multiplication here. So to undo multiplication, you divide. What do I want to divide by? I'm going to divide by the g plus the opposite of d. That group. I'm going to divide it on both sides. Because anything you do to one side, you balance it out by doing the same thing to the other. Division of the same item makes a 1, and y times 1 is going to be y by itself. And then over here I get -20 over g plus the opposite of d. Now I got to look over on this side here and see which one is closest. So I don't like A because the -20 should be in the numerator. So I have B, -20 is in the numerator, and so is D. So C's out. So now I need to look at the denominator. G plus D or G minus D. Which one fits? G minus D is the same as G plus, that's a G there. Ugh, that's pretty sloppy. Plus the opposite of D, and that's exactly what I have here. So the answer would be D. So you got to solve for y, and then you got to choose which of these is correct. Remember, it's multiple choice. If you get one of these wrong, which happens, again, don't worry about making mistakes, but you do build up penalties. So you can't just guess. You've got to apply your algebra rules and your skills from the last couple years and from what we've been doing this year. Let's do another one. All right, in number two. In number two, we are going to, I'm going to use some red this time. Here's the equation. We're supposed to solve it for y again. Looks like most of these we're solving for y. And y is only on one side. That makes it nice. So what would I need to do to this to get the y by itself? I have to divide by what it's being multiplied by, which is the c. So I divide by c and divide it on both sides. And that's something I just should have mentioned. I could have simplified the left side before I even started that. What's negative 10 minus 17? Same as negative 10 plus negative 17, which is a negative 27. So I'm looking for y equals negative 27 over c. But notice, hey, look, I don't have any of this, but I do notice in D, that's the closest one, but the negative sign is in the numerator. I'm sorry, the denominator instead of the numerator. What you can do is you could actually multiply by negative 1 here and here. And you're allowed to do that because negative 1 divided by negative 1 is really a positive 1. And multiplying by positive 1 is identity. So it doesn't change the value, but it does change the way it looks. The numerator would be a negative 27, and the denominator would become a positive c, or just c. And that matches what I have here. So we need to recognize that after I solved the equation for y, I had a negative 27 over c. But that is also the same as if I would have multiplied by negative 1 over negative 1 and made it 27 over the opposite of c. These represent the same value. So I use the rule from algebra. I multiplied by 1, which was negative 1 over negative 1, which is really a 1. It just changed the way it looks. You got to recognize that. All right, let's do another one. All right, in number 3. In number 3, we're solving for y again. I already recopied the equation over to the right side. And here's my y. I need to get it by itself, so I subtract 17. So on the left side, I have 18. And on the right side, I have e times y. So to get y by itself, I got to divide by e. Whoa, that's an e on both sides. So y now is by itself, and I have 18 over e. Do any of those match? Yes, right here. So B would be the correct answer. All right, let's do another one. dy minus 4 equals 50 minus hy. I'm supposed to solve for y. I want to get the y's on the same side. I'm going to add hy to this side to eliminate the subtracting hy. So I also must add it to the left side. I'm going to add 4 to both sides to get rid of the minus 4 here. Do that to both sides. So I have dy plus hy equals 54. I need to get y by itself, so I'm going to take out the common factor of y, and I'm going to write parentheses. When I factor out a y, I still have a d, a plus sign, and then an h. The other side's 54. Divide both sides by d plus h. Both sides by d plus h. These become 1. Y is now by itself on the left side, and 54 is in the numerator, and the denominator I have is d plus h. Do I have anything that works, that fits? A works. Boom. All right, so good luck with these types of problems. Again, use your algebraic rules that we know, the properties that we know, and make sure whatever you do to one side, do to the other. All the things you've been learning all these years come together. So do your best. get your problems done, and talk to you later.